Hey guys, I hope you are well. Welcome to Before the Scroll. Here we peel back the polished myths of history and reveal the quiet, unspoken truths. The stories are told slowly, richly, with a touch of grit, enough to carry you gently through the past and maybe into sleep. We hope you enjoy the journey, and now, let's turn back the scroll. Congratulations, you've just woken up in medieval times. Not as a noble, but as a peasant. Your first challenge? The freezing stone floor beneath your bare feet, and the relentless ache of hunger. Forget breakfast in bed, you'll be lucky to get stale bread. And that's just the start of your day. Let's walk through the brutal realities of medieval life that history books never mention. Your eyes snap open before dawn, your spine already protesting against the stone slab beneath you. There's no cozy mattress, just a thin layer of straw stuffed into a sack that's lost most of its padding from being slept on for years. The cold seeps up through the floor, settling into your joints like a dull ache no amount of shifting will fix. Your cottage has no insulation, just uneven wooden beams and packed earth underfoot. The gaps in the walls let in every whistling draft, and the fire you banked last night died hours ago. Your breath hangs in the air as you sit up, rubbing warmth back into your arms. The straw beneath you rustles, stirring up the scent of damp earth and something sour. Sweat, maybe, or the lingering traces of last night's supper. You don't own a pillow. Instead, you've bunched up your cloak beneath your head, though it's stiff from nights of use and smells faintly of wood smoke. Your blanket is coarse wool, woven tight enough to keep out some of the chill, but scratchy enough to leave red marks on your skin. You're not alone in bed. Fleas and lice nestle into the seams of your bedding, waking up when you do. Every morning starts with shaking out the sack you slept on, watching tiny dark shapes tumble out into the dirt. Winter mornings are worse. The fire's dead, your breath fogs in front of your face, and the ground frost creeps along the walls like a living thing. Your fingers stiffen as you dress, tugging on layers of rough linen and wool that never quite block out the cold. Your boots wait by the door, crusted with mud from yesterday's work, stiff as wood, until you've worn them long enough for body heat to soften them. Your stomach growls, hollow and insistent. Last night's bowl of pottage feels like a distant memory, and breakfast won't come easy. You've got chores before food, feeding the animals, drawing water, maybe mucking out the byre if you live near livestock. Your hands ache just thinking about it, fingers still stiff from the night's chill. You drag yourself upright, joints cracking, and take stock of the day's aches, probably from lying on the floor again, though it's hard to tell. You're sore most mornings. Your back never gets used to it. Medieval peasants didn't just sleep poorly. They were chronically sleep-deprived, their bodies worn down by nights of restless tossing on unforgiving surfaces. The chill lingers in your fingertips as you reach for the door, the rough wooden latch biting into your palm. Outside, the sun hasn't quite risen. Time to start the day. You shuffle toward the storeroom, hunger gnawing at your ribs, but you already know what's waiting. No eggs, no bacon, certainly no coffee. Your breakfast options boil down to this: a hunk of yesterday's bread, maybe soaked in ale if you're lucky, and a small wedge of hard cheese riddled with holes from hungry insects. The bread isn't like the soft, fluffy loaves you're used to. It's dense as a brick, made from coarse rye or barley flour, ground by hand at the village mill. The crust scrapes your gums when you bite into it, and the inside tastes faintly sour. Your pantry isn't stocked like a modern fridge. Most peasants survived on what they grew themselves: grains, a few vegetables, possibly milk or cheese if they kept animals. Meat was rare, reserved for feast days or the Lord's table. What little you have now is already dwindling because last winter was harsh and the harvest wasn't enough. Come spring, you'll stretch meals with whatever greens you can forage. Nettles, wild garlic, maybe mushrooms if you're brave enough to risk poisoning. Right now, though, your morning meal is as exciting as watching paint dry. If paint were stale bread and watery ale, bread wasn't just food, it was survival. Making it took hours. First, you had to grind the grain yourself if you couldn't pay the miller's fee. Ever tried milling flour by hand? It's a forearm workout from hell. Then you mixed it with water, maybe a bit of sourdough starter if you had one, and kneaded it until your hands cramped. No yeast packets here, just whatever wild spores floated in the air. After shaping the loaf, you baked it in a communal oven shared by the whole village, assuming your lord allowed you to use it. If not, you made do with a crude hearth, hoping the center cooked before the outside charred. Your bread likely has extra protein, not by choice. Grain weevils burrowed into your flour long before it hit your bowl, and mold spores clung to the damp grain during storage. You'd pick out the biggest bugs, but the rest crunched between your teeth like tiny, bitter nuggets. If the bread was truly spoiled, you'd dunk it in ale to soften it, calling it sop and pretending it was a delicacy. Your breakfast won't carry you far. The sun climbs higher, but your stomach's already empty again. Your next meal, hours away, if you're lucky. The sun climbs higher as you trudge to the fields, your empty stomach already complaining. No tractors here, just a wooden plow that requires every ounce of strength to drag through the dirt. The ox harness chafes your shoulders as you guide it forward, each step sending jolts up your spine. Your hands blister on the rough wooden handles, the same ones that cracked your father's knuckles before you. Plowing is just the start. Next comes sowing, bending at the waist for hours, scattering seeds by hand while birds circle overhead waiting to steal them. Then there's weeding, hacking at stubborn roots with a dull iron tool until your palms bleed into the leather wraps. No gloves, no knee pads, just raw skin against the earth. Rain or shine, you work. A sudden storm means ruined crops, and ruined crops mean hunger come winter. Your body learns the motions but never the comfort. Your back curves permanently from bending. Your fingers twist into claws from gripping tools. Your knees stiffen like rusted hinges. There are no brakes. Stopping means falling behind, and falling behind means the reeve's whip or your lord's displeasure. If you collapse from exhaustion, someone else takes your place. This is why medieval peasants rarely saw 40. The work ground them down year after year, their bodies breaking long before their spirits did. Your vision swims as noon approaches, the sun baking your sweat into a salty crust on your brow. The church bell tolls in the distance. Lunch, finally. Your stomach growls, but the meal won't refuel you, just delay the inevitable. The fields aren't done with you yet. The afternoon sun waits like a taskmaster, ready to demand more than you have left to give. The church bell tolls midday, and your stomach growls loud enough to startle birds from the field. Your break isn't lunch, just 30 minutes to choke down whatever scraps your family could spare. Everyone gathers near the hedge where your mother lays out the meal, a shared bowl of peas porridge, thickened with ground beans, 2 rock-hard rye biscuits, and a jug of small beer so weak it barely tints the water. You dip your biscuit in the porridge, softening it enough to chew without cracking a tooth. Mealtimes are strictly communal. Your father gets first pick. He needs strength to keep plowing. Then the children, though portions shrink based on who worked hardest. You savor each lukewarm spoonful, knowing it's your last real food until supper. The porridge tastes earthy, probably from the grit that always settles in the cooking pot. 3 chews in, your tongue finds a pebble. Spits. You spit it out discreetly. No one mentions the occasional rodent droppings either. Drinking unfiltered water risks dysentery, so even children drink beer. Its slight fermentation kills some bacteria, though village kids walk around permanently buzzed. The biscuits might be months old. Stored grain often molded, but you ate it anyway. Starvation teaches desperation. The bell rings again. Back to work with a stomach still half empty. You yawn. Digestion saps what little energy the food provided. The afternoon sun hits like a hammer now, cooking your bare neck beneath its glare. There's no sunscreen, no wide-brimmed hat, just the same sweat-stained tunic you've worn all week. Every movement feels like wading through hot tar. Your skin tightens where the sun burns it, patches of peeling red that'll darken to leather over years. Modern workers retreat to air conditioning when the heat peaks. You get to rip weeds from soil so hot it burns your fingertips. The worst days come in late summer, when drought turns fields to cracked wasteland. Water is rationed. The pond shrinks daily, guarded by the Lord's men. You get 1 wooden cup per afternoon, barely enough to wet your throat. Drinking faster just makes you vomit. Heat stroke isn't a medical condition here. It's laziness. Collapse, and the steward prods you awake with his stick. Persistent weakness gets your grain ration cut. Remedies are crude. You tie damp cloth around your forehead until it dries. Sometimes rub mint leaves on your wrists. An old woman's trick that does nothing. Sweat stings your eyes, mixing with dirt into temporary blindness. Your posture hunches further, body instinctively shrinking from the sun's wrath. Worst are the flies. They swarm your mouth when you pant, crawling into your nostrils if you breathe too deep. Medieval artwork shows peasants with permanent squints. Years of squinting against sun and insects leave marks. Your shadow stretches long when the sun finally dips. Vision blurs at the edges, but you can't stop. Evening chores wait. The well's rope burns your palms as you haul up the first bucket. You drink like an animal, splashing half on your chest. It's warm as blood, but you'd kill for more. The church records showed countless deaths from sun sickness every summer. You understand why now. Twilight brings no relief, just different work. Your tongue feels swollen, your head throbs. But the animals won't feed themselves. The sun sinks behind the trees, painting the fields red like a warning. Tomorrow will hurt worse. The sun dips below the tree line, but your day isn't over. While modern workers clock out, you've got animals to feed and firewood to gather. The chickens come first, scrawny birds that peck at your ankles as you scatter precious grain. 1 egg today, maybe 2 if you're lucky. The pigs snort in their pen, their swill bucket filled with kitchen scraps and acorns you foraged yesterday. Their angry squeals remind you. Tomorrow's task is mucking out their filth. Next comes fuel gathering. No flipping a light switch here. Your family needs firewood to cook supper, and maybe ward off the night's chill. You drag an aching body into the thinning woods, axe heavy in blistered hands. Deadfall's our first choice. Green wood smokes too much. Every branch you haul back is another minute of warmth, another mouthful of cooked food. Twilight makes it dangerous. Miss your swing, and the axe bites your shin instead of the log. The woodshed's never full enough. Darkness falls faster now. Last lights for milking the cow, if you've got one. She'll kick if you're clumsy, and the single tallow candle barely lets you see the udder. Neighbors work nearby, their own candle flames flickering like distant stars. This is when injuries happen. Spilled milk, splintered fingers, the occasional gash from a scythe put away wet. Someone's always shouting about lost tools in the gloom. By the time you stumble inside, your eyes burn from squinting. The single candle on the table costs more than your shoes. You ration it like gold. Shadows dance on the walls as your wife stirs the pot. Outside, the world shrinks to whatever the weak flame touches. Beyond that circle, pure darkness, and whatever or whoever might be lurking in it. Supper can't come soon enough. The evening pottage smells like wet grain and old vegetables, because that's exactly what it is. Your wife, or maybe you if you're unmarried, has been stirring the same iron pot for hours, adding whatever scraps were left over from previous meals. Bits of bacon rind float in the murky broth if you're lucky. If not, it's just boiled barley with a handful of wilted leeks. The bread beside it is yesterday's, possibly the day before's. Hard enough to chip a tooth. Modern dinners rotate through cuisines. Italian pasta one night, maybe Thai curry the next. Your menu never changes. Winter means salted pork and beans. Summer brings slightly fresher vegetables. Always the same gray-brown gruel in the same blackened pot. You eat from communal bowls. Fingers scooping chunks of bread to sop up juices. Spoons exist, but why dirty one when everyone's hands are equally grimy? The flavor doesn't vary enough to matter anyway. Just varying degrees of salt and earth. Nutrition is a joke. Your meal lacks vitamin C and D, which explains your bleeding gums and weak bones. Protein comes sporadically. Maybe a shred of dried fish on saints' days. Children get bones to gnaw for marrow. The elderly get watery portions. You take what you're given without complaint, because complaining won't fill the bowl. The monotony wears on you. No spices beyond wild garlic. No sweetness except the occasional stolen honeycomb. You dream of roast meats, but that's for nobles. Tonight, like every night, you lick grease from your fingers and wonder if you'll ever taste something truly satisfying before you die. The fire's dying, and with it, the light. Time to face another medieval bedtime hazard. Night falls, and your bedtime routine begins with dangers modern people can't imagine. First, the evening wash. If you bother at all. A grimy hand dips into a shared basin of cold water, scrubbing face and hands with lye soap that stings open blisters. Forget toothpaste, you rub your gums with a rag wrapped around a chewed twig. The stale taste of supper lingers despite rinsing with ale. Your body hasn't seen hot water in months. Layers of sweat, dirt, and old wool create a personal musk no washing touches tonight. The chamber pot waits beneath the bed, a chipped ceramic vessel everyone uses. It reeks of ammonia, despite being emptied each morning. You think twice before using it. Splinters from the rough wooden seat dig into thighs. And emptying it tomorrow means carrying the sloshing contents through the house first thing. Better to step outside if you can brave the dark. Your sleeping space is communal chaos. Parents, children, even visiting relatives pile onto the same straw mattress. If you're wealthy enough to have one, most share a sack of hay on the floor. Body heat keeps you warm, but also incubates fleas and lice. Scratch any itch, and your nails come away with crushed insects. The straw rustles with movement that isn't yours. Mice nest in the walls, their droppings mixing with crumbs beneath you. Bedding is a breeding ground for microbes. Wool blankets, rarely washed, absorb months of sweat and skin flakes. Your pillow, just a lumpy sack of musty feathers, reeks of old scalp grease. Archaeological evidence shows medieval beds teemed with bacteria that caused everything from skin lesions to deadly infections. Shared linen spread tuberculosis, leprosy, and the plague. Right now, your brother coughs wetly in his sleep, spraying droplets you'll inhale all night. You lay down carefully. Errant straws poke through thin bedding like needles. Coughs echo through the dark room. Someone scratches incessantly. Welcome to medieval sleep hygiene, where simply lying down exposed you to more diseases than a modern sewer. 1 in 3 children died before age 5. Nights like these explain why. An itch spreads across your ribs. You scratch, wondering if it's fleas or the beginnings of fever. The mattress rustles beneath you. Outside, an owl screeches. Tomorrow begins before dawn, if you wake at all. The rooster crows, and you've officially survived your day in medieval times. Congrats. That aching back, the constant hunger, the fleas in your bed, all normal. Your mattress won't give you bubonic plague tonight. Your breakfast won't be maggoty bread. That itch isn't scabies, probably. Medieval peasants endured what most of us couldn't last an hour in. Next time you groan about slow Wi-Fi, remember, your worst day has clean water, painkillers, and a fridge. History wasn't just grim. It was exhausting, painful, and relentlessly unfair. So go appreciate your bed, and maybe that hot shower. You've earned them.